the night sky twitched, just once. At first, most chalked it up to a satellite glitch or a wandering meteor. But then one light became 3, then dozens, each one carving silent, geometric paths across the heavens. Cameras turned upward. Posts flooded the net. The government said nothing, and in that silence, the world heard alarm bells. In a quiet Colorado town, 15-year-old Marcus tore through an alley behind the hardware store, drone controller clutched tight. Cold air stabbed at his lungs. Above, the drone locked onto something he couldn't quite believe, a metallic figure descending with surgical grace, sleek, silent, and definitely not man-made. He uploaded the footage. It caught fire online. Hashtags like #Skyhacks and #ThereHere hit trending in minutes. Before news anchors could sit in their chairs, 5 cities lost power. Phones bricked. GPS froze. Commercial planes emergency landed without guidance. The planet stuttered. Then came the message, not in any spoken tongue but a digital wave. Every device lit up with the same haunting image, a tall, skeletal creature with obsidian eyes and limbs too long to be natural. Beneath it, a phrase pulsed in every human dialect. "You will surrender." At first, people joked. Memes exploded. One moment, the world was laughing. The next, cities began to crumble. No bombs. No fire. Buildings simply folded, like toy blocks under invisible pressure. These ships didn't explode, they erased. The aliens didn't issue threats. They acted with precision and finality. They expected fear. What they got was resistance. Initial counterattacks were mayhem. Jets scrambled. Missiles flew. Nothing stuck. The craft shrugged them off like rain on a windshield. Infantry moved in. Gone in seconds. These invaders didn't just survive, they adapted. Every failed assault became a lesson for them. But in the smoldering skeleton of Chicago, Lena Reyes wasn't thinking strategy. She'd seen her squad flattened by a silent wave. Hiding behind twisted concrete, she clutched a scavenged Soviet-era jammer. When it pulsed, one of the alien scouts stuttered, just for a heartbeat. That hesitation saved her. She didn't retreat, she lunged forward, instinct taking over. Armed with a steel rod and a modified taser, she drove it into the base of the creature's neck. It jerked violently and collapsed. No fanfare. But for the first time, a human had brought one of them down. Not with a bomb. Not with firepower. With raw nerve. The story tore through the underground like a lightning surge. Across shadow networks and abandoned comms, scientists, rebels, and hackers studied the kill. The message was clear, they could bleed. Not through brute force, but by exploiting the cracks. Marcus, whose drone had sparked global panic, was swept into the resistance. A reclusive former NSA analyst named Prophet had created a rogue AI to track alien movement. Marcus became its operator. The AI didn't fight. It foresaw. Patrols, fleet shifts, tactical blind spots, all plotted in real time. And for the first time, humanity aimed smart. Blunt force brawls gave way to razor-precise strikes. Farmers rigged grain silos as EMP mines. Hackers turned digital billboards into pulse emitters. Mechanics armored buses with scrap steel and vengeance. This wasn't about outgunning the enemy. It was about using their toys against them. And it started to work. When a scout ship crashed in Montana, resistance fighters beat the mothership's kill command. Inside, they found the unthinkable, a human prisoner. Hooked up with tubes and tech, his body had been repurposed, used to power the ship. His name was Elijah Cho. taken in the first wave, presumed dead. But Elijah wasn't just alive, he was valuable. He'd been inside their systems. He'd seen how they linked. He knew. With Elijah's data and Prophet's predictive AI, resistance cells coordinated hits that left the invaders scrambling. Not with fear, but confusion. This wasn't in the simulations. This wasn't in the data. The aliens had studied us. They expected division. Self-destruction. They counted on greed and infighting. But what they didn't factor in was the fire inside. The one that catches when everything's gone and there's nothing left but the will to stand. The fire that says, "Not today." For the first time, the invaders paused. While their silence stretched, humans found rhythm. Not in official orders or global pacts, but in instinct. In raw courage. In that ancient refusal to kneel. The war was far from over. But Earth had found its edge. And the aliens felt it. Lena adjusted the headset, listening to the low hum of static. Underground frequencies were always unstable, especially now. The resistance cell she was part of, call sign Ember 6, was deep beneath the ruins of what used to be Cleveland. Concrete cracked above, and dust rained down as an alien patrol ship passed overhead. She held her breath until the tremors faded. Movement northeast, Marcus's voice came through the channel, filtered and mechanical. He was eyes in the sky, running recon through one of their last working drones. 3 scouts. Same gravity shift patterns. Lena glanced at Prophet, hunched over a cluster of flickering monitors. The ex-NSA analyst didn't look up. "They're learning faster now," he muttered, mostly to himself. "Every time we glitch a scout, the next batch compensates for it." "Then we stay ahead," Lena said. But even as she said it, doubt flickered. The enemy was adapting. Human victories were few, and hard-won. And sometimes, they cost more than they gave. Prophet's monitors pulsed red. "They're deploying a new unit. Bigger. Less predictable. They're calling it a Reaper class." "Reaper?" Marcus sounded uneasy. "They naming them now?" "We didn't," Prophet replied. "They did. Their broadcast frequencies started tagging these things with that word. Translated from their own script. As if they want us to know. It wasn't fear they were trying to spread. It was dominance. Psychological warfare." Lena leaned over the map table. "Any idea what it does?" "That's the thing," Prophet said. "We've seen it twice. Both times, the units with it vanished. No signal. No trace." Marcus whistled. "So it's a ghost?" "No. It's a cleaner." A long silence fell. Somewhere above, rubble shifted. Lena tapped the table. "Then we bait it." Prophet turned slowly, eyes narrowed. "You serious?" "Dead serious. If we can draw it in, analyze its pattern, we find a weakness. We've done it before. This is just another play." No one spoke for a moment. Then Prophet said, "You'll need Cho." Elijah Cho still looked pale, still had 4 ports along his arms, still twitched when he heard the alien resonance frequencies, but his mind was intact. More than intact. His connection to the enemy tech had left scars, but also insight. He understood the alien logic, the way their systems folded into themselves, recursive and cold. They found him meditating in the far corner of the bunker, eyes closed, humming quietly to cancel out the phantom pulses in his head. He opened his eyes before Lena could say a word. "I know. You're going after the Reaper." Lena blinked. "How?" "I still hear them," he said, tapping his skull. They're coming. I can help. An hour later, the plan was set. They'd rig an old substation on the outskirts of the city, one of the last places still wired to ancient tech. Prophet's logic: the Reaper would come to eliminate any system it couldn't overwrite. Marcus controlled the decoy signals. Lena led the strike team. Elijah interfaced with the trap's feedback core. It was dangerous, messy, borderline suicidal. They moved under nightfall, their gear patched together with salvaged metal and quiet desperation. The substation loomed in the darkness like a relic, rusted and defiant. Marcus tuned the broadcast dish, feeding in corrupted alien code. Elijah winced as the signal flared, like a razor through his brain, but held steady. "They've heard it," he said. "They're coming." The ground began to tremble 20 minutes later. Not the usual scout tremors. This was deeper. Heavier. The sky above shimmered, distorting like water. The Reaper emerged not with flash but silence, a black spear gliding through the air, absorbing light, bending the world around it. No limbs. No cockpit. Just motion and dread. Lena gave the signal. EMP coils fired. Static shrieked. The trap closed. But the Reaper didn't fall. It shifted. In one instant, it disappeared from the air and appeared inside the substation. One of their men screamed, a sound that cut off in a blink. Lena fired, but her rounds fell harmlessly mid-air, eaten by a distortion field. Elijah dropped to his knees, gripping his head. "It's rewriting reality," he gasped. "Not attacking, redefining. We need a hard shut." Prophet barked through comms. Marcus triggered the overload. Sparks flew. Circuits melted. The Reaper convulsed, just once, and let out a soundless pulse. Windows shattered. Metal bent. But the trap held. Elijah stood, eyes wide. "Now." "While it's recalibrating." Lena didn't hesitate. She ran, leapt, and slammed the injector spike into the Reaper's core node, just visible through the distortion. It reacted. Not with rage. But surprise. And then, silence. The Reaper froze. Gravity warped outward, flinging Lena to the ground. But the machine collapsed inward, folding into itself like paper, vanishing in a shimmer of light. For a long second, no one moved. Then Elijah said, breathless, "It wasn't a drone. It was watching. Learning. And now it knows who we are." They had survived the encounter. But something fundamental had shifted. And somewhere above, the real enemy had opened its eyes. The ruins of Denver weren't quiet anymore. After the Reaper incident, the aliens changed everything. Patrols doubled. Their flight paths shifted. And they stopped broadcasting threats. No more warnings. Just silence, and faster, more surgical strikes. Lena stood in the shell of an old library, peering through cracked glass at the sky. It shimmered faintly, the way it always did before they came. Nearby, Elijah sat cross-legged with wires from a scavenged uplink curling around his fingers like vines. His eyes were closed, head tilted back as if listening to something far away. "They're probing deeper now," he said suddenly. Lena turned. "Into what?" "Our thoughts." She stared. "That's not possible." He opened his eyes. "It is now." Prophet's voice crackled over comms. "Confirmed. We've intercepted a neural echo in the frequency band. They're adapting cognitive mirroring tech." "Chose right. They're reading us." Lena looked up. "Then we feed them lies." The plan came together fast, and not everyone liked it. Elijah would open a neural bridge, something he swore he could control, and project false intelligence directly into the alien network. But doing so meant giving them access to his consciousness, even if briefly. It was a risk they'd never taken before. They set up in an abandoned subway station buried beneath layers of city wreckage. Power came from a hacked transformer. Protection was minimal. But this wasn't about surviving a firefight. This was about misdirection. Cho lay on a rusted table, neural nodes taped to his temples, breath slow. Prophet stood over the interface, hands trembling. "This is a bad idea," he muttered. Lena nodded. "Yeah. But it's our only one." With a final breath, Elijah gave the signal. Prophet flipped the switch. The moment the signal surged, the room went cold. Not temperature, something deeper. Like gravity had lost its grip or time had slipped sideways. Like reality had shifted slightly sideways. Elijah's body stiffened. His eyes snapped open, glowing faint blue. He spoke, but not with his voice. "This is not your place." Everyone froze. Lena raised her weapon, unsure who she was pointing it at. Elijah blinked. When he spoke again, it was him. "I'm in. They saw me. They think I'm one of them, barely." "Good," Lena said. "Make them think we're moving west." Elijah's eyes fluttered. "Done. I've planted a false trail. They'll expect an assault on Phoenix. It's the nearest intact grid relay, they'll see it as our next move." Suddenly, alarms blared. The monitors exploded with motion. Prophet swore. They bought it. Every scout's rerouting. Cheers erupted. But Cho didn't move. "Wait," Prophet whispered. "Something's wrong." Lena turned. Elijah was convulsing. She grabbed his shoulders, shaking him. "Cho!" He gasped, then screamed, a raw, guttural noise. And then he sat up, breathing hard. His pupils flickered, one black, one silver. "They saw me. Not just my mind. Me." The silence that followed was heavier than the alarms. "We have to move now," Prophet said. "They'll triangulate this place in minutes." They scattered. The resistance knew the drill. Burn everything. Leave no trace. As they moved through the tunnels, Lena stayed close to Cho. He was shaky, but lucid. Still, something in his stare had changed. He wasn't just reading them anymore. He was becoming something else. That night, in a temporary safe house built into a gutted museum, they received a broadcast, one that wasn't from Earth. It was a voice, feminine, oddly calm. "Your resistance is noted. Your creativity is inefficient. Your existence requires adjustment." Prophet froze. "That wasn't from any known relay." "It's direct," Elijah whispered. "From them. From the core." Lena stepped forward. "What's the core?" Elijah's voice was hollow. "Not a place. A mind. The one that controls the rest. A single, central intelligence that spans their entire force." "So we've been fighting limbs," she muttered. "And now the brain's watching." "Exactly." For the first time, Lena felt something she hadn't in weeks. Not fear. Dread. The core wasn't just aware. It was curious, an intelligence now measuring us like a puzzle it intended to solve. And curiosity was worse. Because that meant it was thinking. And now, it had noticed Earth. Lena watched the sunrise for the first time in weeks. It crept over the horizon like it was afraid to touch the broken world. Smoke from shattered cities blurred the light, turning the sky a shade between hope and ruin. She stood on the roof of an old hospital, where Resistance Command had temporarily relocated. It wasn't much, just cots, cables, and cracked windows, but it was holding. Cho sat beside her, silent. The flicker in his eyes had stabilized, unmistakably strange, not entirely human, but calmer. He wasn't convulsing anymore. He was becoming a bridge. Between minds. Between species. Between war and something else. Downstairs, Prophet and the others pored over new telemetry. The core had gone quiet again, retreating into silence after that chilling message. But the quiet wasn't comforting. It was calculating. "We won't get another chance," Prophet said. "The neural bait trick worked once. Now they know our capabilities." Lena didn't respond. Her gaze remained on the sunrise. Cho finally spoke. "It's listening now. Not reacting. Listening." "To what?" she asked. "To us. To our chaos. Our creativity. Our contradictions. That's what it doesn't understand." Lena turned to him. "And if it does understand?" He exhaled slowly. "Then it changes. Or it decides we're too dangerous to keep alive." A transmission arrived, an anomaly pinged from a deep space satellite that hadn't responded in months. It was a pattern, not a message. A mimicry of one of Prophet's own coded distress signals, altered and sent back through a frequency only the core could have known. It wasn't a threat. It was a question. Prophet's fingers hovered over the keyboard. "It's asking what we are." Lena looked at Cho. He nodded. "Let me answer." They prepared a single return signal, not coded, not hidden, but raw. It included footage of Earth's resistance. Not just battle. Not just rage. But music. Art. Laughter. A child holding a broken toy. A soldier giving his rations to a starving dog. A dying woman clutching her sister's hand. The core didn't respond immediately. But then, something changed. A full day passed without a single aerial patrol. Scout signals vanished. Energy surges stopped. For the first time in months, the sky was still. And then, a final message. From the core. Spoken in Elijah's voice. "We do not understand you. But we see your value. You will not be erased. We will watch." It wasn't surrender. Not exactly peace. But it was enough. The war, at least for now, was over. Lena cried for the first time since it began. Not because they had won, but because they had been seen. Later, as survivors emerged from bunkers and resistance fighters dismantled their makeshift war rooms, Prophet turned to her. "They came to conquer. We made them pause. That's what it means to be human. We don't just fight. We make something worth saving." Elijah stood nearby, quiet, eyes skyward. The aliens had come with logic and power. But Earth had responded with soul. And for now, that was enough. The lesson wasn't written in code or war plans, but in every scar and heartbeat that refused to quit. Being human isn't just surviving the impossible. It's reminding the impossible why we matter.